the Women Unleashed podcast. Join us as we share with you the confronting, fun, wild, fucked up, epic, and raw side of being a woman in today's world.
Come along on our journey as we dive deeply into what makes us tick and how we create our lives. Nothing is off limits.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to episode 2 of Women Unleashed. I'm super excited about this episode today. Are you, Britt? Are you ready to go?
Taylor, I'm pumped.
So today we're going to be talking about exercising, which sounds a little boring, but just wait and see what we have in store for you. It's not just about exercising, just so you all know.
No, it's like, it's not about the exercise itself, like what you like squat 5 times and hip thrusters and
lunges. Don't we all hate lunges?
Yeah. Lunges make my buns burn.
Yeah.
It's actually like we go into a bit of like the mindset around it and like what drives you to exercise and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. Yeah,
I agree. So I guess let's just start off with like why are you exercising, Britt? What's in it for you?
I exercise because if I don't, I'm a dick to myself and other people.
That's a real straight answer, but so true.
Yeah, totally. Like I'm just such an asshole when I don't go for runs. Like when I don't get out that energy that like builds up all day while I'm sitting at my desk working.
Yep.
Or like it's just in particular running is we'll get into that later. Anyway, Taylor, why do you exercise?
I guess similar to you, Britt. Like I'm not good. I'm not good if I don't exercise. And
bad girl.
Yeah. No, that's not what I mean. But I just mean like my mind's not good, and you know, I do struggle with anxiety and depression and things like that, and I notice those things creep in, and the anxiety creeps in more on those days that I don't exercise. So I guess it's not just, you know, people love having these hot bodies, which don't get me wrong, where I do want a hot body, but for me, it's really about just keeping my mind right.
Yeah.
And free of like fog. I find if you don't exercise, it's like a brain fog that kind of comes over you, which is really interesting.
Yep. Yeah, it is definitely a fog. Something that I've recently discovered is what drives me to exercise, which is a commitment to my physical and my mental health. The mental actually takes priority over the physical, which is because of what we just discussed. Like, I don't like who I am when I don't exercise, and the people around me generally don't like who I am when I don't exercise.
Yeah, poor Nathan.
Yeah. So first and foremost, my mental well-being and physical well-being, and which is a huge shift for me because I did bodybuilding in the past, like bikini body competitions, and that was just like a fixation on what I looked like.
Yeah.
And it took a lot for me to let go of what I looked like.
It's a hard shift, isn't it? Like, I mean, social media, I know people go on and on about it, but social media makes it look like you've got to have a big booty and a little waist and like that's the look. And unfortunately, I think sometimes it's missed about the mindset and the mental health, because you can become so obsessed with looking some way that you're not healthy with doing it. Not eating the right foods, you're not looking after yourself.
No, and it's a bit of a vicious circle, you know. It's easy to get like addicted to those highs of working out and eating like your macros and all that kind of stuff. As human beings, it's just what it means to be a human being. We get a dopamine rush when we do something.
Yes, we do.
And we then become addicted to it. So, yeah. There was something else I was going to share about that. But
sorry, cut you off.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
And what about, I know you and I talk about a little bit about being your word. So I guess is it about that too?
Yeah. So, like some days I really don't want to.
Fucking hope.
I really don't want
I
to.
don't want to either.
And because I told myself I would, I did.
Mm.
And even if it's a shuffle, like I'll still get out there and run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I personally, for me, and I guess it's something I got to work on for myself, is I struggle to keep myself accountable. So, but I've got myself a coach, an online coach, not for bodybuilding, just for general lifestyle. Because I just need there's an app and I've got to do these tasks each day, and it just keeps me accountable to myself. Knowing I've got to check in and all those things. And also someone who's not been in the industry or grown up with probably a lot around it, it's really hard to know what the right thing is to do for your body.
Yeah, like where do you even start?
Yeah.
Because there's so many people out there saying like, do it my way or do it this way, and you've got no idea what like their mental health is like.
No.
That has led them to that place.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I've found having a coach who gives me exercises, all those things on things I don't understand, has been really good. I mean, I'm only in week 3, so, you know, let's see what happens. But at this stage, I'm loving it, and it's not overwhelming. I've done it before where it's just taken way too much of my time, and it gets to be like a burden rather than something that's for you. You know, it becomes like this chore. So I think it's really important to look out for that too, because I think sometimes it can become like, it's not fun. It's got to be fun, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that. Because what would you say you're committed to, like, in this area?
Barrett, that's a big question. I'd probably say I'm just committed to having a healthy and happy lifestyle.
Yep.
You know, that works for me. And having a happy and healthy mind as well.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, a commitment to being physically and mentally well. And
a lot better way than what I just said.
Yeah. And I was going to share it later, but I'll share it now. Like I, declared this commitment to myself late last year, and I decided that I would run 5Ks every day, and I knew it would take me about 25 minutes. Well, when I started, it was about 27. And I thought to myself, okay, there's 24 hours in a day. Like if I can't run for 27 minutes of those 24 hours, like what am I doing with my life? Like, come on, Britt. Like, what am I doing for me?
Yeah.
And so once I got in reality about the time I would spend and the hours in the day, I said, right, I'm just going to run every day, and it doesn't matter what my mind tells me about my body when I'm running. Like, you know, the calf muscles will just be like, oh, I don't want to do this today. It all hurts. But I just powered through. And the cool thing about making this commitment was, if I didn't do it one day, because I only did 27 days out of 30, like the world didn't end.
No.
Because I didn't keep my promise to like run that day, but I was still committed.
Yeah.
I was still committed to my mental and physical well-being. And when I got really clear for myself that I was still committed to that, it just made getting out of, like, I stopped making myself wrong, and I got out of bed the next day, and away I went, you know?
Yeah, and that's so good, not beating yourself up, you know? Same with eating. Some days you might have something a bit naughty or something, you know, you might overeat one day.
Yeah.
You might max out calories, or whatever the way you eat. You might eat in a way that is not the normal way or the way that serves you, but it doesn't mean tomorrow you need to punish yourself.
No.
You just get back to what you plan on doing and go again.
Yeah, because what does punishing yourself achieve?
It's not good.
Yeah.
Not good for anybody.
Nothing. Just to be clear, nothing. And so, just what I would say is, when you're like going out on your exercise endeavor, like, you're not going to get it perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. Like, perfect me running every day for 30 days, like that would be great. What would be worse is if I just ran for 2 days and then fell in a heap. But because I knew I wasn't going to get it perfect, I didn't have that unrealistic expectation on myself. I ran for 27 out of 30 days, and I knew myself as like this super powerful woman that was capable of running 5Ks every day.
Yep.
So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's so good.
Now, Taylor, see, 3 weeks in?
Yeah.
3 weeks? 3
Wait,
weeks?
3.
3. And you've started to notice some things.
Yeah. So I shared on the last episode how I have struggled, and still, you know, it's an ongoing thing, struggling with depression and anxiety, and how when I don't exercise those things, it's like they just flare up and they're just really debilitating, really, in life, you know. They talk a lot of, you know, it's said a lot, action creates more action. So if you're not out doing things, it's all great to think about it, but if you're not actually out in the world doing things, I think you do less. So if I don't exercise, my day tends to be less productive. And my mind tends to play a lot of tricks on me and cause me anxiety, you know.
Yeah.
So I've been finding I just have more motivation and excitement about life in general. And I just feel better.
Yeah.
You know, you just feel better in your body and your mind. I don't have the brain fog. I don't feel as headachy and tired and all those things because I'm putting the right things in my body, and I'm getting, you know, the exercise that my body needs. And, you know, it's interesting that food is so important. I think it's great to go exercise, but if your kitchen, like the way you're eating and cooking in the kitchen isn't right, it's not going to work because, like I shared with you, 95% of serotonin is made in the gut.
Yeah. Like I was mind blown.
And that's a lot. So if you're putting crap food and processed and all the time, I'm not saying you can't, but if you're putting that in your body all the time and alcohol and all those things, then like it's gonna fuck with your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And like you just nailed it. Like the connection of what you put in your stomach impacts your mind and your brain. Because we just did a cheeky Google before the episode because I wasn't clear on what serotonin actually was. And what it does is it's a natural mood stabilizer that controls well-being and happiness. So it's found throughout the body, but mainly in the intestines. And it helps your body to properly like send messages between the nerve cells. So like you said, Taylor, if your food's not right, like the messages aren't getting
95%.
Yeah.
Does that blow your freaking mind?
Yeah.
It blows mine.
Oh my
I
Lord.
never think about it.
Oh my Lord.
And it just, and I'm, you know, when we talk about this, I'm not saying that depression and anxiety, they're fucking real. They are real things, and there's medication out there and all those stuff. But I also think people need to look at what habits are you creating as well. Like if you're not exercising, if you're not eating some good food, drinking your water, who are you surrounding yourself with? Like what are you listening to?
Yeah.
What are you putting your time into?
Yeah.
All that stuff. And, you know, like it runs, I know what it can look like, depression. And I'm not trying to say that even if you do all those things, you might still have it. And I'm not trying to dismiss that, but I am saying sometimes when your mood isn't good, maybe it's your habits that are affecting it more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's good to look at those things and look at what are you doing as well as, you know, your mind, like what's going on for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, this is probably going to be like a call to action for everyone listening is do a habit check on yourself.
Yeah.
And be real. Like the number of times I've sat in an office and heard someone say, oh, you know, I've got this bad habit or I've got this habit. And, you know, habits then just become like this thing that like, it's not that they need to be important, but people don't actually do anything about them.
Yeah.
They just relate to them as like fixed ways of being in their life that they can't make a difference to.
Yeah.
And there's a huge science, I don't know if it's a science, but there's a lot of it, like books, The Power of Habit, Atomic Habits, that break down exactly what habits are.
Yeah. There are lots
yeah.
of books out there.
Yeah.
Lots of information. And maybe sometimes that's why people don't do anything, because there's just too much information.
Too much, or they're just not even aware that this exists, right? Which is why we exist. So when you do a habit check, do have a look at the great habits you have in your life and the ones that don't really work for you.
Yeah.
Like have a look at both, because it's the same loop, the same construction of a habit, and it works both ways.
Yeah.
So.
And sleep. I didn't talk about sleep, but sleep is super important, and I love sleep. I love sleeping. So, that's another thing. Like, if you're not getting, one night you might not get enough sleep, and that's okay. But if you keep doing that, your body is not functioning properly. Sleep is just as important as anything else.
Yeah.
You know?
What kind of sleep though? Like,
well, you want a good sleep.
Yeah, but what does a good sleep look like?
Oh, well, I think they say anywhere between 7 to 9 hours. But I think it also depends on you. Like, you know what makes you feel good and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And are you waking up multiple times a night? Is your bed comfortable? Have you got all the right, equipment for sleeping?
Yep. Yep. And waking up at the same time every day is more important than going to bed at the same time every day and waking up at different times, I've heard.
Yeah, I'm not going to say my sleep routine's the best. Like, I get enough, just the times are a bit off.
Bit all over the place. Yeah.
Something to work on. But, yeah, like, bringing back to what we were saying, I think it is super important to have a look at your habits and how they are reflecting. Like, how is your life going, and what habits are you doing? Do they align?
Yeah. Yeah, we just touched on that big topic of what you say and what you do and the gap between those things. Oh,
yeah.
That's going to be a juicy topic. Juicy episode. So one of my top tips I discovered and my partner actually shared with me is to run without music. And I would just expand that to general exercise without music. When there is a lot of fog going on in your head, it is very easy to drown it out with music, podcasts, audiobooks. So when you're running without music, you can really be present to what is it that your head is saying, what is the thoughts, and you can just let them go, or you can express them. Sometimes I run along gurring, or we'll go running through Mount Cootha Forest and I'll be screaming expletives, just get it out of me. And then but if I didn't have if I had the music there, I wouldn't be present to the thought or the anger or the emotion that was there that I needed to express.
That's a really cool tip, Britt. I don't think many people talk about that.
No.
How you can use exercise to release your emotions. But if you're what's the word for it? If you're covering them up by listening to stuff, that sometimes may not be working for you.
No.
But hey, who doesn't love music while they work out? I like a bit of music while they work out.
Especially lifting weights, you get a good pump on.
Yeah, I do. I don't think I listen to the right music though. I think some of it's a bit doesn't really match, but hey, I enjoy it.
Hey, whatever works for you.
And I think another cool thing to do is put it in your day, make it exercise as a priority. You put your doctor's appointments in your diary, put your exercise.
Yep.
I've just created with my partner, we now have it in our diaries every day. That we will go to gym, so 5 days. So I've invited him as an appointment.
Yeah.
It's just in there, and that's just what we're going to do. And obviously sometimes things pop up, but we're making it a priority.
That at least you acknowledge that it's there and you didn't do it, rather than beating yourself up in your head for not doing it.
Yep.
And you're accountable to him and you're a team in it. And if you need to move it, you got something to move.
Yes.
Whereas if you don't put in a calendar appointment in your calendar with yourself and you don't do it, there's no obligation to shift it to another time period either. So
yeah, it's not as in your face, is it?
yeah, don't underestimate the power of a calendar invite.
Yep. Yep. So that's what we have for you today, I think.
That's a
Anything
wrap.
else?
No, that's a healthy salad wrap for you.
Brit.
I'm terrible at jokes. I got a lot of bad dad jokes. But look, thanks everyone. That's us for episode 2. Let us know how you go with your habit check and ask us all the questions you like, and we'll be back next week.
See you soon.
Ciao.
Bye.